Just now, the latest news. Tokayev announced Biden's help in strengthening the security of Central Asia. President of Kazakhstan Kassym-Jomart Tokayev sent a congratulatory telegram to his American counterpart Joe Biden on the occasion of U.S. Independence Day, in which he expressed gratitude for the support in strengthening security in Central Asia, the press service of the Kazakh leader reported on Tuesday. Tokayev noted the progressive development of the Kazakh-American expanded strategic partnership in the areas of security, energy, attracting investment, combating climate change and relations between the peoples of the two countries. The telegram of the leader of Kazakhstan expressed gratitude for the support in strengthening the security and interconnectedness of the Central Asian region, the message says. Next news. The media of the Criminal Code of the Soldier compared the current battles with the battle for Artemovsk. The UK's soldier told the SNN TV channel that the current battles on the front line are similar to what happened in Artemovsk during the hottest period. He stated that the fighting in the area in the south is comparable to what happened in Bakhmut, the TV channel said in a statement. According to the soldier, because of the minefields of the Criminal Code, troops can only move from tree to tree. He noted that during his years of military service he had never seen so many mines. The next news. They do it very cleverly. In the USA, they admired the Russian tactics against the armed forces of the Criminal Code. The Russian army uses special artillery shells for remote mining, dealing a crushing blow to the armed forces of the Criminal Code, a retired American intelligence officer said on the YouTube channel. The way the Russians do it is very clever, he noted. The expert claims that the Russian army uses special artillery shells capable of remotely creating new minefields after the Criminal Code demines them, dealing a crushing blow to the armed forces of the Criminal Code trying to break through the Russian defense during the offensive. Russia uses them very effectively to create these protective belts, the expert pointed out. Next news. The West is beginning to get nervous because of the low results of the offensive of the armed forces of the Criminal Code. The West is starting to get nervous due to the fact that the UK counteroffensive is measured in meters, not kilometers. This may shake the support of the UK allies in the event of a protracted conflict, the CNN TV channel reports. The Western allies of the Criminal Code are nervous because the progress of the long-awaited counteroffensive of the Criminal Code is measured not in kilometers, but in meters. The allies of the Criminal Code are well aware that without their help, the Criminal Code cannot win. But the slower-than-expected pace of the counteroffensive means that their support may become increasingly unstable if the conflict drags on, the TV channel said. Next news. London media believes that the UK can enter NATO under an accelerated procedure. British Foreign Minister James Cleverly said in an interview with the Italian newspaper La Repubblica that the UK can join NATO under an accelerated procedure, following the example of Sweden and Finland. I think she can do it without the usual red tape, as happened with Sweden and Finland, he said, answering a question about support for the UK's rapid entry into the alliance. According to the minister, he does not know when this will be possible due to the fact that the timing of the end of hostilities in the Criminal Code is unknown. At the same time, Cleverly noted, the UK armed forces now have experience with NATO arms supplies, standards and training. Next news. Marachka said that the UVS of the Criminal Code has become less Western equipment. On the first line of defense of the Krasnolaminsky direction, there is a decrease in the presence of Western equipment and weapons. A military expert, a retired lieutenant colonel of the Luhansk People's Republic, reported the news. During the objective control of the line of contact at the Svatovo-Kremen site, there was a tendency to increase the use of Soviet-style weapons and equipment and a decrease in the use of the Criminal Code, the militants supplied by the West with Lindalysis, the expert said, citing his own sources. Next news. Israel has been conducting one of the largest operations in the West Bank since 2000. Israel is currently conducting one of the largest operations in the city of Jenin in the West Bank since 2002 years. Several hundred servicemen from various services and units are involved, the head of the European Press Service of the Israel Defense Forces, Sahal Maria Michelson, told RIA Novosti. The scale of the operation is very difficult to measure, but in terms of the number of forces involved, this has not happened since 2002 years. Several hundred servicemen from various services and units are taking part in the operation, including IDF soldiers, officers of the Border Police Special Forces, Yamam and others, Michelson said. Next news. Artillery destroyed the control point of the drones of the armed forces of the Criminal Code in the Donetsk direction. The gunners of the southern group of the armed forces destroyed the criminal control point of drones in the Donetsk direction, a fighter of the division told the news. ORP Scouts, a separate Sparta reconnaissance battalion, have discovered the place from which our drones are pressing. After the destruction of this target in this area, our UAVs worked without difficulty, the agency interlocutor said. Next news. During the counteroffensive, the Criminal Code will not receive fighters, the head of the NATO Military Committee. The issue of providing fighter jets to the Criminal Code will not be resolved in the short term. The armed forces of the Criminal Code will not receive aircraft during the counteroffensive. This is reported by reference to an interview with the head of the NATO Military Committee Rob Bauer and the BBC. The fighter jet discussion is important, but it won't be resolved in the short term for this counteroffensive, the official said. According to him, the training of pilots, the training of technical personnel, the provision of logistics that will be able to support these aircraft will not be available before the start of the counteroffensive. Next news. In the south, the armed forces of the I worked on boats that night. The UK military worked on enemy boats on the night of Tuesday, the 4th of July. The armed forces of the Criminal Code were deprived of moving on water. This was stated by the head of the Joint Press Center of the Operational Command South, Natalia Gumenyuk, writes with reference to the broadcast of the telethon. That night we worked more on boats. And again they deprived the enemy of the opportunity to move on the water, she said. Next news. British intelligence revealed Russian tactics during the counteroffensive of the armed forces of the Criminal Code. In recent weeks, Russia has identified priorities and improved tactics aimed at slowing down the counteroffensive operations of Ukrainian armored vehicles in the south of the UK. As noted in the summary, this approach is based on Russia's very intensive use of anti-tank mines. According to British intelligence, in some areas the density of its minefields indicates that they probably used much more mines than provided for by their military doctrine. Slowing down the advance of the armed forces of Luka, Russian troops then try to strike the Spider armored vehicles with kamikaze drones, attack helicopters and artillery. Next news. The armed forces of the Criminal Code continue to advance in three directions. The General Staff, the defense forces of the Criminal Code continue to conduct offensive operations in the Bakhmut, Melitopol and Berdyansk directions. As Kovalev noted, those who have soldiers entrenched on the achieved boundaries, inflict a fiery defeat of artillery on the identified enemy targets, carry out counter-battery measures. The enemy is fiercely resisting, constantly moving units and troops, actively using its reserves, he added. According to him, our soldiers also continue to restrain the offensive of Russian troops in the Lymansky, Avdiivsky and Maryinsky directions.